Welcome to the Woman's Connection. I'm Barrie-Louise Switzen, your moderator. The Woman's Connection is a program about events shaping women's lives and helping one gain authentic power on a personal or professional level. So won't you stay tuned?
Welcome. Madison Avenue has done an incredible job of brainwashing everybody that you have got to be beautiful, because if you're not beautiful in their terms, you just don't really exist. Well, it's not true. Beauty comes from inside and portrays outside. And with me is ElisabethThieriot, and we are going to talk about how you can stay beautiful at any age. And I would like to welcome Elisabeth.
So good to be here.
Thank you for joining me.
My pleasure. I am so glad that you're addressing this very fact, what beautiful is, and how age really should not matter. How we feel and being beautiful at any age is being your best at whatever point in life you are and knowing the secrets, how to stay there.
You wrote a book
Yes.
called Be Fabulous at Any Age. What made you write the book?
I realized that what you just mentioned, that there is that peer pressure of looking certain way, and most women and men would not have peace within them unless they would match that projected image. And what I found that a lot of people were not really within their own body, within their own emotional comfort of being themselves because of that. And I felt that they needed to look deeper into what makes them whole, what gives them their inner peace. And only from that place will they be able to find a real purpose in life. So I decided to share how to get there and what compromises of us and what influences us in everything we are, in everything we do.
Well, I think part of what you've got going for you is the fact that you were born in Europe,
Yes.
you were raised there, so you have multicultural differences that you can accumulate and build from. And one of the things in your book you were talking about is you go by the seasons of taking care of your skin and what you eat. Let's go back to what you eat first and taking care of your skin.
Okay. I find that really what we eat overrides just about everything else we do. I mean, that's the truth. When you eat well, you nourish your body. You bring nutrients into your body to work with, to repair and restore in the case of damage, or replace as a natural replacement cycle takes place. It provides energy. And when you have natural energy from good nutrition that we can absorb, we don't look for things for quick perks of instant energy. We look for stable performance. We have emotional performance. We have energy to physically perform all day long. And we become highly productive people till 5, and then after 5 have amazing personal life.
Now, what do you mean, like until 5 o'clock? Is it
Well,
5 o'clock or age 5?
No, I mean like work area where you actually can leave work, where you're earning your living, where you are intellectually expressing yourself, and then go home and have a good, healthy personal life. Because many people work from 9 to 5, unless you are like me, where my son says, of course you're not working for anybody because you like to work from 8 till midnight. But that's my personal preference. And I don't advise that on anybody, but I do love what I do. And I think that what keeps me interested, it feeds me doing what I love doing, is compiling information, having research that I believe people can benefit from, and then sharing it with everyone.
You said that you had several operations.
Yes.
And I love our medical profession here in the States. How is it different between the American way of doing things and the European way?
Oh, well, there is a difference, because in the European way, it's still more interested in overall condition of your life, because it's more traditional to some degree. Here we are very specialized. This is what already is happening in Europe, that everybody's becoming so specialized that the toe doctor doesn't know that when the big toe hurts, the problem is in the head. they're not connected anymore. And I think that this kind of disconnect in current medicine, it's hurting us because the advice cannot be correct, how to correct the cause of the symptom. And only the symptoms are being treated. So that started in Europe years ago, which I described in my book, where I realized that the influences of Western medicine became more prevalent because Europe always measured themselves on the standards of American everything. I mean, dentistry in America is best in the world. Research is best in the world. I mean, we are leaders here in multiple disciplines. So I was on that brink of giving up the more traditional healings where I remember seeing herbs on the shelves of pharmacy and being replaced with synthetic prescriptions. I remember that moment when it took place. So on the brink of that, I was exposed to quick fixes. Well, if it hurts, cut it out. I mean, I had food poisoning. There was nothing wrong with my appendix, but I lost it. I overdosed on ice cream, so they took my tonsils out, which is typical reaction to overdose of ice cream. I grew up on ice cream, heavy cream, butters, and that was my father's business. So it's hard not to eat what you engulfed in. So we are what we eat, and it affects us completely.
We are what we eat because I grew up with my grandmother who believed it, you are what you eat. With all that you're doing as far as the inner self healing with the foods, do you find that we have gone from chemicals to now going back? Let me start over. We started with eating healthy,
Yes.
all prescriptions. Now we're swinging back to eating healthy.
Absolutely. It's a trial and error. We thought there was a quick fix of instant gratification by having a pill and having a TV dinner. We know that that is not working. Remember the era of fast food phase? Now there is a slow food phase. There is a joy in preparation. There is a joy in choosing. There is a joy of choosing organic food. Remember when finding organics was maybe one store in a city? Now, it's almost on every corner in every city, and farmers markets are prevalent as well. But the whole key is how to combine the food you even find and keeping it to the hemisphere you live on. For example, we live on northern hemisphere, and I believe that anything that grows within the northern hemisphere during that season matches our density and therefore is appropriate. The old theories were that you only eat local food. But we don't have to do that anymore. What if you're in a city? There is no local food. There is concrete. So you have to be exposed to a food that is brought into the cities. So my advice is make sure that the food you are getting, it's still within the northern hemisphere and it's appropriate to that season because of it. So avoid foods that are brought from southern hemisphere because they're never appropriate to our seasons. I mean, that's the truth. Bananas don't grow on the northern hemisphere in the winter, but they do grow here in the summer. And reverse, oranges grow here all through the winter in different parts of northern hemisphere, and citrus fruits, and they're appropriate for our digestion. They actually aid the heavy fatty foods and its processing. So everything is beautifully balanced in nature, why you eat this and why you eat that.
I found out that I can't eat bananas and I can't really eat apples because I found out that they're extremely gassy foods, and I was making these smoothies and I was just like, why am I so bloated? So getting back to how do you know what to do as far as food combining? I mean, I would have never known. I mean, it was just a fluke that I found out that these foods were gassy, so they're out of my diet.
Really don't belong together for several reasons. Once the density is different and its purpose is different. So apples are in the fall, in the autumn, and they're very rich in enzymes, and they come after the tomatoes. Tomatoes, and I describe that in the book, have a very specific, beautiful role of shedding the sense of cells that remember summer romance and moving on into a more productive time of the year without reminiscing and having major heartbreaks of a summer romance. I mean, we were all in summer camps and had the special one we were so panting for. The camp is over, back to school. So the tomatoes actually help to shed the liner in your intestinal system and in your heart, to forget about it and move on with your life. Apples come and prepare the intestine after that to receive heavier, denser foods, and it tightens it because we change density. Summer is more expanded. Autumn and spring are transitional seasons, and through autumn we move into most denser part of our body, most densest at equinox, where we are good for heavy meats, nuts, anything, roots. This is how we are. We are like a root by the time we get into the winter, and during the summer we are like a watermelon. And if you would want to eat the two, gets who get hurt, whoever is softer. So when your intestine and all the insides are very expanded like watermelon in the summer, you don't want to have heavy foods. You don't want to have hard foods. That's when people have indigestions, colitis, bloat, gain weight, because the body can't handle it. It's just overwhelmed.
In the summertime, eat light salads.
Right.
And in the wintertime, you eat heavier foods to keep denser, to keep your body warm in the winter.
It's appropriate to what we need at the time because there is greater density also in nutrients. And the purpose is that when it goes into our body, it doesn't expand us. It respects the fact that we are closed up and protected. Because our outer skin, right now, it's our biggest, densest shield of the year to protect us from elements. And mind you, very important fact, that it really doesn't matter if you're in Alaska or you are on equator, because for that particular person that lives there, that is still the season. It's the hormonal season. It's a season where all of our internal processes of contracting and expanding take place regardless of temperature. This is what many people think, well, but it's warm. It doesn't matter. It's still the season of the year. You are going through the processes and cycles that we have to go in order to live.
What about if you take a vacation? You're in the northern hemisphere, and in the wintertime you go down to the southern hemisphere. What do you follow? Do you follow where you are to what you're eating?
First, it takes about 6 days to adjust.
Okay.
So our body is very adjustable. So this is why people describe it as jet lag, or, they're out of sorts because they traveled and they don't know why they're tired. Body has to shut down in order to make the changes, to adjust to where it is, to adapt. And it adapts as you go from northern to southern. For example, you go from London to South Africa, you go on safari. Within 6 days, you're going to be in that season, and you should eat foods that are appropriate to that area. But it takes 6 days. So you find yourself sluggish, tired, because the body has a lot of work to do to readjust. It takes 6 days.
When you're traveling then, but if you're only gone for a week, by the time you adjust, you're readjusting again.
Correct.
Is there any way that you can prepare in advance for where you're going as far as what you're eating?
I think it's more through sleeping. I think that adjusting the pattern of sleeping before you go and changing the hours of when you're eating to make it easier transition at least 3 days before you go for a different hemisphere, which is not as important as if you move within the hemisphere, just time change. Then you need 24 hours and you can adjust much easier. But the changing of hemispheres really takes a toll on a body because, just like you said, you go down and then you come back before you know it. So you're going through 12 days of where am I? And the body has to figure out, where am I right now? So we have to respect these natural processes, and you can't force them through too much caffeine or forcing, no, I'm going to have whatever I want. So what you eat during that time speeds up that change, actually. If you gradually go from denser foods to lighter foods, but not shock. I think that anything that is shocking to the body is damaging, and it takes longer than to recover. I think that gentle way and smart combining of fruits with carbs, certain fruits, like what you said, of a season only and not others, so they're not challenge of density. And also the content of digestive enzymes, because they're different for each season and each food. That's another big issue. And then combining meats with green vegetables, keeping the starchy vegetables separate from heavy meats and saving them for other vegetables. Having fish with light, other vegetables of color is really helpful. So knowing how to combine, for example, heavy roots with beef are appropriate because they're denser foods. Fish is more appropriate with bok choy, is more appropriate with cabbage, is more appropriate of a later density. And cabbage is really winter salad. It's winter lettuce, just in its denser form. So you can tell how nature gives us the same thing, but adjusted to what our body can deal with. So how you combine, and I explained this in a book, really create energy after you ate, instead of having what some refer to as food comas. Because you're supposed to get nutrition to feel good from and be energized and be usable. So how you deliver that to the body becomes usable or becomes a drag, something to deal with. And let me give you a best example of how you can have the most fabulous day. When you wake up, have something of more of a stimulant, or their tea or coffee, something very light, but no food until at least 11 o'clock. The old belief system was that you wake up and the breakfast was most important part of your day. Well, that was a fallacy. That was going against the natural cycles. During the time of 6 and 11, our body is in a process of detoxification, purification, disposing of everything that we accumulated day before. Why would you then imagine the refrigerator? You're just cleaning out the refrigerator and you're just getting to it, and somebody is coming and squashing all new stuff into it. How many times can you do it in a row without this not working? And the refrigerator breaking down. And everything starting to fall out and things become disorganized. Do you see what I'm saying? You have to clean everything out and allow it to be cleaned out. When that process is finished, bring all new things in. Otherwise, you take attention away from the body of detoxification, purification, and say stop everything and receive more. That is not logical. That is not right. Out of all the hours in a day and night, 24 hours, there is that 5 crucial hours where we clean ourselves out. Drink some water, and not too much. I don't believe in 8 glasses a day either. It's very expanding. You're going to have 2 glasses in a row. You're going to be nauseous, pass out.
One of the things that you wrote in the book was you shed your skin during the when you sleep.
Absolutely. Yes, we actually do. Because when we go to sleep, the beautiful things happen. We go into the state of repair, rejuvenation. That's why sleep is very important. That's why we call the beauty sleep. But we have to go to bed with nutrients in our body. So dinner is very important. And what we eat for dinner is very important. And preferably not to go to sleep drunk, because then the mind is confused and spends most of the time trying to become intelligent again. So sleeping sound, conscious, intelligent, with good nutrition in you will help you to really stay young and beautiful for life. So of course, once in a while somebody has a wine or drink. I'm not saying no. But most of the day should be conscious nights where the body can go into the repair to build your collagen, to repair what's broken, to shed that skin that is no longer beautiful. Replace it, because we build from inside out.
Is there a particular food that is more damaging than another food, or is it just on your body, how you eat it and what you do with it?
Of course, acidic foods are. For example, tomatoes are meant just when they grow, and then once we have all the tomato sauces, and so they're very, very caustic almost to the system. And I know there are fabulous marinara sauces, but they're really not very good for the skin. Anything that is overly acidic, it's not good for our system. Trying to be more alkaline or being more alkaline is really the answer.
All right, what exactly is alkaline and acidic, and how do you know which is which?
For example, alkaline is sea salt. Sea salt contains 12 major minerals that we are made out of. I mean, our amniotic fluid, it's environment that equals to a sea, ocean water, that it's about 3,000 feet deep. And it's 20 times the density and mineral content of the surface water. So when you're thinking of washing, no, it's not the tap water you swim in at all. That makes us alkaline. That creates the environment in which we were born and created. So it's a good thing. Rock salt is really not what we are accustomed to. It's more for the goats. It's more for the deer because they have different consistency. And again, they only lick it during a winter, not summer. So these are very interesting foods. For example, swimming in the ocean during a summer is appropriate. We don't swim very much in a cold water by the nature of the environment and the temperature. We choose not to. We just don't feel like it. So sea salt is good for us all around, and especially through the autumn and winter.
Because I've been eating a lot of sea salt. I've been
That's
sprinkling
great.
my food with the sea salt, and I'm now into turmeric, and what else? Oh, I do cinnamon and garlic, not so much garlic, but ginger. I've been putting a lot of that into my food these days.
Okay, let me help you with the idea of a lot of something because we get on a kick. Everything needs to be balanced and for a reason. The body responds to an herb because they all have a function when it's needed much better than when you provide it all the time just in case. That's the beauty of knowing how things work. For example, cinnamon, it's excellent for regulating, and cucumber for regulating sugar in your body. Ginger is excellent tonic for hormones. Shouldn't be in the morning. It should be in the afternoon because all the hormones roar in the morning and they don't want to be disturbed. Testosterone roars, our estrogen roars, so we don't need any help in the morning. But if you give a little bit in the afternoon, it's not such a bad idea. And that's where circadian cycle comes in, that I talk about in the book, where I explain every 2 hours what happens in our body so that all of you can become better managers of your life because now you understand what's going on. Why am I feeling this way? What is that thing going on in my intestine? Or why am I hurting in here right now? Why is this hurting me right now? Well, what time is it? Oh, it's the kidney. Oh, okay. Am I upset or is my kidney weak? And you can go fix it by the knowledge I provide in the book. So you don't have to panic around to the doctors. And just recently, as we were coming back from a lecture, someone mentioned, the hospitals are getting bigger and bigger. I said, that's a good point. And maybe that advice that they give is not always so right if they keep having more need for more and more rooms in a hospital, because it doesn't matter that we have more people. If the advice was right, we would have more advisors, but not hospital rooms. So there is some disconnect in the medical advice we get. Again, they save our lives when we're broken in an accident. But the quality of life, I would go back to the nature for that.
And I was looked at your diagram
Yes.
of where you were explaining different points on your face. I got these, I call them chipmunks. And I have been to more doctors tell me, oh, you're getting old.
No.
And I say, oh, so you don't know what you're doing.
Excuse.
Exactly.
Yes.
So I'd love to hear what you can do for your small intestine and large intestine.
The great health about large and small intestine is always to eat small amounts of food and not overwhelm it at each meal. And I'm not saying eat often, the opposite. There should be 4 to 5 hours in between the meals so that the intestine can process. It takes about 3 hours and have at least an hour to rest. So these whole ideas of eating all the time makes you tired. So this part of the face is telling you, give it a rest. Give it a rest. So again, create 4 to 5 hours in between. Do a few sit-ups. Make sure that you empty completely. And then start smiling, because they say that the more you smile, the happier your tummy is. And it's true. People that have pain in the stomach, the face droops from pain. People that are grumpy, everything else goes, I don't want to deal with it, and it goes away. So it truly, your mood affects your inside, and your inside affects your mood. That's why I explain every 2 hours, figure out if it's your organ that it's weak, or is your emotion that it's weak during that time. and go and address the opposite for support. So for example, you're grieving, you're waking up 4 in the morning and you have a sense of grief. That's lungs. That's hard to breathe. Breath is life. This is the first thing we do, and we die when we can't do it no more. So, you know, everything has a beginning and an end. Everything is bookcased. Everything is explained. Nature is very, very smart. And if we just look back and see why things happen and why and how they repeat and how the cycles happen again and again, we become very intelligent how to take care of ourselves. And we then require less advice. And when you require less advice, you're more certain in your own way how to go. I mean, imagine you don't have to spend days in a hospital asking, I had a gas, am I going to die? Because you know you just combined wrong foods and you knew you did it. You took the risk of doing it and you say, okay, now I have to wait till it passes. Tomorrow will be another day. And you go on with your business, right? Or help it a bit. But you want that knowing about yourself. You want to get to know yourself. Because when you have the confidence of knowing yourself, you have the confidence in the world. And that's what we want to come back to. Because there's nothing more beautiful than knowing who you are and what you are. And that is what is attractive at any age. You are 10, you are 20. Now people live to 106. I just was shown a photo of a man 107. He looked like 55, totally dressed, rolled up jeans on top. And I'm saying, no, you're kidding me, right? They said, no. He just celebrated his birthday. He was walking around with his briefcase, still involved in life. So we can go on, and we're living longer because medicine is keeping us longer. Taking supplements, keeping us living longer with better quality. And that's where I advise people. Take supplements, but be smart what they are. Don't take what you don't need. Figure out what your weaknesses are, match them with what you need, and that way you replenish what we don't get in the regular food, and we can go on, because aging comes from absence of minerals, not time. It's not the time. Time only gives us opportunity to do things.
One of the things that happened to you in your life when you were pregnant with your second child is that your husband developed cancer. Through this, you went on a quest to find out how you can cure him naturally, and you found out about microbiotics. Would you explain exactly what microbiotics is?
Sure. I met with Misha Kushi, that was still alive, and he lived in Boston, because I believe if you want to learn something, go to the master, because the translation of things may not be accurate. And I was very impressed how he explained it to me, what it's all about. He says it's introducing body to what you wanted the body to become. And that is most simplified way of putting it, what we're trying to achieve by changing what we're putting inside of our body and why. So the goal was to make the body more alkaline, because cancer does not live in an alkaline environment. If you have two Peachtree dish, one is sugar and acid, and one is alkaline, the one with alkaline, the cancer won't survive for a minute. But with acid and sugar, it will thrive and will take over the Petri dish. There'll be no sugar left. It will eat it all as an energy to live on. So I realized that, and I changed. I was always in a good way of eating, but I really want to save him. And I was then 7 months pregnant with my second child, and the idea of them not having a father was just horrific. Myself raising the children was scary too, which I ended up doing anyway. Not because he died, but because I ended up walking away later on, I guess to pursue more of other things in life. And but it was a scary factor, was driving me enough to do the best I could. And I learned from it that how we combine foods with 2 to 2, 2 to 3, creates the environment. I learned that beans, which most people have, they should be no less than 6, preferably 12 to 13 of kinds, for us to be absorbed correctly as the correct protein to be easier to absorb. Not 1 bean, not 2 beans, minimum 6. very interesting teaching, because the combining of foods make them accessible to us or not. I learned that soybean is really meant for the earth, and the estrogen is meant for the earth. It's not meant for the people. We don't even absorb it. It grows easy, but it's supposed to be turned off and left in the earth every 7 years from the area that we harvest. We don't do that very well, which is the reason why a lot of our crops right now are depleted, because we don't respect the cycle that earth needs every 7 years to be left alone and refurbished with its estrogen. So that's why right now in South Africa and other places where they were giving soybeans, they found people were smaller and looked more nutritionally deprived, even so they were eating a lot of soybeans. So not everything is meant for us. You know, some of it is meant for the animals. Some of it is meant for the for the waters to have a turnover in microbes. So we have to look at it and respect how we fit. And that's what I learned in microbiotics. Everything had to have a purpose. The same food, when you need it, it healed you. But the same food in excess became toxic. So eating less, we can live on so little. I mean, I gained 14 pounds with my first child, and 15 pounds was my second, because I promised the 15. I swear I ate extra just to get the 1 more pound with her. And I think I was an envy of everybody, because the minute I walked out of the hospital, I was back in my jeans, size 14 teenager. And they could not, like, look at me, because women thought that eating for 2 was eating for 6. And it's not necessary. To make a baby, you need good value nutrition. You need no more than probably an extra ounce of protein a day that can come from an egg. There isn't that much more we need to create. A lot of it is vibrational, intentional, and it's all within us already. So I learned a lot from Misha Kushi, because there was that balance of nature in us. I mean, I can look at a person and tell you, the diet of your mom when she was pregnant with you. Western medicine doesn't have an understanding how you were created. Was there a time of peace? Was there time of war in your mother's life when you were created? Was she balanced with a diet, or was she not balanced? And you can tell the glandular preferences during that time. Those are fascinating things to learn, because you realize connectivity, you realize cause and effect. And that's what we have in this book and in today's world about us connecting to cycles, because every of our actions and decisions has outcome.
Elisabeth, I'm overwhelmed. I am speechless. And unfortunately, our time has run out. And in the closing moments of the show,
Yes.
what would you like to leave the audience with?
I think that every person has to find the inner beauty within themselves, because it comes from knowing, understanding oneself, having sense of self, learning about how things work, so they're more self-reliant. And I think creating self-reliance on all the basic factors brings back the confidence, and it brings back the beauty and attractiveness. And in the process of it, brings back the energy and passion for life. And as long as we have those, we flourish.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
And thank you for joining us. Are you aging gracefully and beautifully? Please let us know here at the Women's Connection. We want to hear from you. Bye now.